Can you be lonely even with thousands of social media friends? In this digital age, it's a question that resonates more strongly than ever. It's a paradox that's as intriguing as it is unsettling. On one hand, we have the unparalleled ability to connect with people from all corners of the globe at the touch of a button. Yet, on the other hand, we're witnessing a rising tide of loneliness, a phenomenon we'll refer to as digital loneliness. In the vast, interconnected realms of social media, we're never truly alone, are we? We're surrounded by an ever-growing circle of friends, followers, and like-minded individuals. We share, we comment, we like, we tweet, and in this whirlwind of digital interaction, we feel connected. But is this connection real? Or is it just an illusion? A mirage in the desert of our digitally dominated lives? This is the crux of the paradox. The more we immerse ourselves in this digital world, the more isolated we can feel. It's like being surrounded by a crowd, yet feeling utterly alone. This is the phenomenon of digital loneliness, the sense of isolation that can creep in despite the thousands, even millions of connections we may have online. Let's consider the case of a popular social media influencer. They have thousands, sometimes millions of followers. Their posts are met with a flood of likes, comments, and shares. To the outside world, they seem to be the epitome of connectedness. Yet behind the screen, they too can experience feelings of loneliness. Despite the constant digital interaction, the influencer can feel disconnected, unseen, unheard. They're adrift in a sea of digital faces, yet they feel alone. This is the reality of our digital age, where connection and isolation can coexist in the same space. In the next scenes, we'll delve deeper into the illusion of companionship offered by social media, the impact of digital loneliness, and how we can navigate this paradox to find genuine connection in a world increasingly dominated by screens. For now, let's pause and reflect. Is the price of our digital connections a sense of real-world isolation? This is the reality of our digital age, where connection and isolation can coexist in the same space. Does having more friends on social media mean you're less lonely? In the digital era, it's easy to fall into the trap of equating the number of our online friendships with our level of companionship. But let's take a moment to peel back the curtain and delve into the illusion of companionship that social media often creates. Picture a regular social media user, we'll call him John. John has amassed a few thousand friends on his platforms. His posts garner hundreds of likes, comments, and shares. On the surface, it seems like he's surrounded by a vibrant community, right? But let's look a little closer. Most of these interactions are fleeting. A like here, a comment there, a share now and then. They're superficial at best. These aren't deep, meaningful conversations that build a strong sense of connection. They're brief, often emotionless exchanges that don't provide the same satisfaction as a heart-to-heart conversation with a close friend. John, despite his thousands of friends, often feels disconnected and alone. He's part of a crowd, but not part of a community. He's speaking, but not being heard. He's connected with many, but bonded with few. Now, this isn't to say that all social media interactions are superficial or meaningless. Far from it. But the key lies in the quality of these interactions, not the quantity. A handful of meaningful, heartfelt exchanges can be far more fulfilling than hundreds of casual, surface-level interactions. So, how does this translate to loneliness? Well, loneliness is not about being alone, it's about feeling alone. It's about the perceived gap between the relationships we have and the relationships we want. And if most of our relationships are superficial, that gap can feel like a chasm. This is the illusion of companionship that social media creates. We're surrounded by people yet we're alone. We're connected yet we're disconnected. We're part of a community yet we're isolated. The quantity of connections does not necessarily equate to the quality of those connections. We must remember it's not about how many friends we have, but how many friends we feel close to. What is the impact of this digital loneliness on our mental health? This is a question we must grapple with in our ultra-connected era. Digital loneliness is not just a fleeting feeling, it can leave a lasting imprint on our mental well-being. Research has consistently shown that while social media can connect us to people around the globe, excessive use of these platforms can lead to feelings of isolation and depression. We can liken it to being in a crowded room, yet feeling completely alone. You see, our brains are wired for meaningful face-to-face interactions. The superficial connections forged through likes, comments, and shares simply can't replace the depth and warmth of in-person connections. The case of a teenager we'll call Jane illustrates the profound impact of digital loneliness. Jane was an active social media user with hundreds of online friends, yet she confessed to feeling isolated and depressed. Despite her online popularity, she felt a void, a lack of real connection. Her story is not uncommon. It mirrors the experiences of countless individuals across the globe, highlighting the stark reality of digital loneliness. There is also the issue of comparison, a dark underbelly of social media. Seeing others' highlight reels can lead to feelings of inadequacy and unhappiness, adding another layer to the loneliness. It's a vicious cycle. We turn to social media for connection, but often end up feeling more alone and inadequate. And let's not forget about the impact on sleep. Studies have shown that excessive screen time, particularly before bedtime, can disrupt our sleep patterns. Poor sleep can exacerbate feelings of loneliness and depression, further entrenching us in the cycle of digital loneliness. The effects of digital loneliness can be far-reaching and profound, impacting our mental health in ways we might not even realize. The constant buzz of notifications can't drown out the silence of isolation. It is essential that we recognize the toll that digital loneliness can take on our mental health, and take steps to foster genuine connections in our lives. So, how can we overcome this digital loneliness? Great question. Firstly, it's about setting boundaries. Limit your time on social media and the internet. Prioritize real-life interactions over digital ones. This might mean setting aside certain times for online activities and sticking to them. Next, focus on quality, not quantity. Instead of trying to keep up with thousands of online connections, focus on nurturing meaningful relationships with a smaller number of people. This can lead to deeper, more fulfilling connections. Finally, remember, it's okay to seek professional help if you're feeling overwhelmed by feelings of loneliness. Therapists and counselors are trained to help you navigate these feelings and can provide strategies and techniques to manage them effectively. There's no one-size-fits-all solution, but these steps can provide a starting point. Remember, it's not about the number of friends you have online, but the quality of the relationships you maintain. Don't let the digital world isolate you from the real one.